All right, so Nebraska, Illinois. Tom's not going to like this one. Give me the Cornhuskers laying 7. I just think there's a very obvious play right now that's out there that's the whirlwind surrounding Nebraska, that they're going to be distracted by the investigation, by the negative news that's impacted the program. I think this could be the exact opposite situation where the team kind of rallies around their coach. I think the players like Scott Frost. I think they're more talented. I think they have more depth than Illinois. And I think the number has come down to a point where it's kind of like, next week's game, we have Notre Dame, Florida State, but it opened up at 9.5, 10. It's down to a touchdown. This one's similar, opened up at 9.5, down to a touchdown. I think it's a pretty safe bet. So I'm going to take Nebraska laying the 7.
I can get you 6.5.
Oh, even better. I love the honesty.
Block fight.
Fight.
Multiples.
Fight.
So I am not necessarily as down on Nebraska or thinking that this is going to be the beginning of rug pulled out from under them. The whole season starts tanking. I'm a little bit higher on Illinois. I think that especially with this game being at home and with the unknowns from like that's a little bit of an advantage from a game planning perspective where Illinois, brand new coaching staff, while the personnel, there's going to be plenty out there for Nebraska Scott Frost staff to break down. There is an element of a surprise. There's some of the changeover in defense that Tom mentioned on the Early Edge special on Wednesday. Go check that out on YouTube. And I do think that this is a game that Illinois can win. And if I think that Illinois can win it with a decent percentage chance, then all of those points encourages me to go ahead and take the home dog. So give me Illinois. Can I get the 7? Is there even a 7.5 out there?
No, there's no 7.5.
All right, I'll go ahead and take the Illinois plus 7.
I'm rooting for you, Chip, but I'm kind of as you said, as I mentioned earlier yesterday, I'm kind of leaning more towards Danny right now. One of my concerns is you mentioned is Illinois is transitioning from that kind of 4-3 defense that only played cover 3 and cover 4 in every single snap under Lovie Smith for the last few years into what is supposed to be more of a 3-4 kind of maybe 4-2-5 kind of hybridy defense. It's playing a little bit more mixed, but I don't know that they really have the personnel for it yet. So it's a new scheme with a new coaching staff with guys who might not be fits. And Nebraska fans, of all people, can tell you about how rough that first year when you're transitioning from a 4-3 to a 3-4 can be. So in the very first game of the season against this Nebraska offense that's been game planning for it, I do worry about Illinois' ability to slow down the Cornhuskers offense. Although I still think that Nebraska's got plenty of flaws of its own. So, Bud,
you got any plays on this?
I thought about the under potentially.
That's my second play.
But I don't. Okay, well, I'm not going to play the under there. I have 2 plays this week that I actually like, and I'm actually going to bet. But I'm probably just going to sit back and watch this one. Maybe play this in live a little bit. I don't know. Under first half is something I would look at. I guess there's some 27.5s out there. I don't know how good Tom thinks this Illinois offense is going to be, but my guess is that this game could start slow. So if I had to play something, I'd probably go under 27.5, but not enough for me to fire on right now.
What was the point was made yesterday that in the NFL early, you love the overs, and in college early, you jump on the unders. A little bit sloppy, a little bit slow to get going. I don't think that Nebraska. Let's look at Nebraska. Adrian Martinez. We assume that they are going to be the offense that could potentially be the reason why this game goes over the total. I just don't see the explosive players there that are going to be able to break this thing wide open in a way that's going to get us into. We're at 55, right?
Yeah.
55. I just see this game being decided a little bit more in the 20s, where maybe there's a couple of like busted coverage explosive plays, but I don't think that we're going to see a lot of long, sustained drives with explosive plays and the kind of back and forth ping pong that you might need to be able to get both of these teams up into the high 20s. So my second play for Nebraska, Illinois is the under.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. I'm not betting this game because I can't legally bet Illinois football games in the state of Illinois, and I would never bet illegally. But I do agree with the under a bit because I also think that there's a chance with Bret Bielema, like I mentioned, if they're having problems defensively, I wouldn't be surprised if Illinois kind of goes to like, what you think of with Bret Bielema teams on offense, where they're going to try to control the clock and limit the possessions to make sure that this game does stay close if they're concerned about their defense, which I think will depress the scoring. Although, Bud, to your point about Illinois, I do think that your question about Illinois, I do expect their offense to be a bit more explosive this year simply because they had solid kind of possession receivers last year who you could kind of count on in the red zone. I think that they've got a couple game breakers especially in Isaiah Williams, who can, with big plays, make that happen in the passing game. So I think they'll be more explosive as the season goes along. It's just, I don't know if I'm going to expect it in the very first game of the year.
I don't want to do it, but we saw, you remember Bob Bowlesby and Greg Sankey were on the committee together and they worked closely. It's kind of like Chip and I were ACC boys this year. I'll go ahead and fight it. Yes. I'll take the over.
Wow.
Fight.
Yes.
The advantages we talked about not knowing, I think that is going to favor Illinois offensively. I think they'll put up some points, but again, I think Nebraska will win in the end, but I think it might be higher scoring than people think. So I'll take the over.
Love it. So we are dialed into two entirely different ball games.
Yeah.
Right? Like exactly. lower scoring, home underdog is able to win outright or at least cover the spread. Higher scoring, Illinois can't keep up or can't get stops, and Nebraska ends up winning this thing by 10, 14 points or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot wait for the group chat about 2:15 p.m. Eastern time when we've got, games on Fox. Okay, we'll be midway through the first quarter, an hour and 15 minutes into the game.